The Celtics are trading four-time All-Star point guard Kemba Walker to the Thunder for Al Horford, young center Moses Brown, and, of course, the 31-year-old Walker spent the last two seasons in Boston, missed the final two playoff games in Boston's losses to Brooklyn. So here's a full look at the trade, including the draft picks that are involved here. So, Jackie, what's your reaction to all this?
Well, I'm not super shocked. I think it was time for Kemba Walker to move on from Boston. It's a shame, really. I think everybody had such high hopes. If he hadn't been injured, I think he would have been the perfect antidote to Kyrie Irving leaving. He was so positive in the locker room. The young guys really liked and appreciated him, but he was never be able to fulfill his job there because he was injured all the time. If you're the Celtics, you move on from Walker, you get rid of some of that $73 million salary, and you take on Al Horford's salary, which is around $41 million, $53 million if it's fully guaranteed, which it may or may not be. And what that does is it gives you the opportunity to re-sign Evan Fournier. Now, they only got a quick look at Fournier because of COVID problems after they acquired him, but he's part of their future, and now you're able to afford him by shedding some of this salary. And don't sleep on Moses Brown. Moses Brown is a nice young two-way player that can also help them. I will tell you this, all this movement tells me that they're not done. I wouldn't be surprised if they package one of the bigs and maybe even Marcus Smart, and to go out and get themselves an accomplished point guard. They need another point guard now on their roster.
If I recall correctly, Moses Brown had a 2020 game against the Celtics this year.
Yeah.
And Brad Stevens, obviously, as the coach, saw that. So, Mark, do you believe this is a math game, or it is an equation or a chemistry experiment about what's happening on the floor? Or could it be both?
Well, first of all, let me say this about Kemba. Every time we beat up these players about making a decision to go somewhere, he decided to go to Boston.
Right.
He expected to be a star there for a long time, and now he's going to Oklahoma City. With all due respect to Oklahoma City, I'm sure he's disappointed.
Right,
so the next time
rebuilding.
people want to beat up these stars for making decisions, here's another example.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the lead that's buried from the Celtics in their press release. Not even in the headline or the subhead, Moses Brown. I'm really excited about this pick for him. He had 17 15-plus rebound games last season, most by any player 21 or younger. He averaged 12.5 points, 12 rebounds in March, and in his last game with the Thunder against the Clippers on May 16th, he had 24 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 blocks.
Right.
They got a cheap diamond in the rough, a center that they could probably groom and have for a long, long time. So I think that was a sneaky little addition to the Celtics trade.
Jackie, let me ask you, does this mean, I know you mentioned that there could be more moves. You mentioned they may move some more bigs. Does this mean that Time Lord's time could be up in Boston?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. There's also Tristan Thompson on the roster, Jorge. So I think he's more of a candidate. I don't think they're ready to give up on Robert Williams just yet. You know, we haven't even mentioned Horford in this deal. Now, I've said this 1,000 times. For 90% of the players in the NBA, it's all about fit. Al Horford fit when he was in Boston. They did not move on from him. He moved on from them. As you know, went to Philadelphia. It was a terrible fit. Now that Horford's back in Boston, and again, we have to see about his knee because he's had some knee trouble, I envision him at playing the 5 in some points. So it'll be interesting to see as they go forward. I don't think the roster that they have at this exact moment will be the roster that they'll start with next fall. It doesn't make sense to me. One of those bigs has got to go.
All right, let's move on to the OKC aspect of this. Sam Presti and the Thunder now possess 18 first-round picks through the year 2027. Yes, you heard that right. 18, okay? They hit the reset, and they definitely hit the reset hard, okay? So, Mark, what is Presti going to do with all these assets?
Man, I can't see Kemba playing there.
No. So they're going to flip him too, probably, soon.
If I'm the Lakers, man, why not try to go after Kemba?
I've said this, and people on radio here have killed me for that.
To me, it makes a lot of sense. Kuzma's already looks like he's on his way out.
Oh, well, we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that, but yeah, I'm looking for some of these this treasure chest to get moved this summer.
Jackie, is there something to be said about maybe having too many assets? I mean, in Boston, they at one time had a ton of assets too, and if you look back at what they got for some of those assets, you know, they didn't get as much as maybe one would have hoped.
Well, and you know why that is because the assets change when they're this far out. For instance, remember at the time, the Celtics had a Memphis draft pick. Everybody thought that was going to be in the top 5.
Yep.
Not so fast. Memphis had a bunch of young players that made them much better than expected. But I'm sure Sam Presti's aware of that.